What's up, everybody? This is your man, DJ Square Knot, and you're tuned into my podcast, Square Knot Live, where we talk about music, real issues, meet great people, and get into fun and engaging topics. With that being said, let's get into it. Yo. It's your man, DJ Square Knot, and I just wanted to say, first off, let me say Happy New Year to everybody, because I can't recall. It's been a minute since I've done any podcasts. I've been quite busy doing other things and have kind of been trying to do that whole time management thing. So it's been something else. So Happy New Year to you all. Salute to all of you. Today, the topic I want to give you guys is give him a chance. And this topic has me scratching my head, y'all. I really, when I created this podcast, I didn't want it to be one of those that was where it was political or any of that, but it's hard not to be sometimes. It's hard not to be political sometimes. And when you have all the things that are going on and all the things that are happening, just constantly just seeing what people are saying has truly been amazing to me. And I have sat back and listened and tried to learn from it all and see what people are talking about and what the deal is. And I just plainly, let's just give him a chance. And who am I talking about? Let's talk about Joe Biden. And like I say, I'm not going to get political and I'm not going to be on here too long, but I just say give him a chance. And the reason I say that is because of the absolute numerous conversations that I've heard and the different things that have come out to me pertaining to all the stuff that was going down. Let's think about the insurrection and how that was truly provoked. And if you don't see that was provoked, something's wrong, number one. That was clear as day. You didn't have to. I know a lot of people like to play on words with it, but the fact remains is that was as real as you could possibly get it to be. So I don't see where you can say that was not something that was how can I say, just something that, like one guy said, he was just saying anything to ask. He said, tell me where there was something in there that he actually said to tell the mob to go down and attack the Capitol. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, are we going to play and are we really going to go there? But the fact is that this happened and you are going to try to play the game of simple wordplay as if we are foolish, as if people are foolish. And it just really perplexed me on the fact of the understanding. But that goes to show the divide in this country. So we got a president now who wants to try to bring the country together, and we've had another president who focused on dividing the country. And guess what? Regardless to what it is right now, the new president is there. Give him an opportunity. Give him a chance to see what he does. And then, base your facts off of actual actions instead of it being one of these things where you are going to automatically say he's going to take your rights and all this kind of stuff. Like, for example, I remember back when President Obama was in and you couldn't find bullets anywhere because everyone was saying that he was going to take everybody's guns. Did he take your guns? No, he didn't take your guns. You know, I have several. He never took any of the guns. But I was mad as hell when I walked into the stores and couldn't find bullets for when I wanted to go to target practice or any of that. That was the part that got me, you know. So I was like, okay, you didn't have
we'll
to.
see what happens here.
I walked and then, go from there. Lorenzo, I see you, man. Yeah, we have to give Biden a chance. Exactly, man. Forgive me for looking like snow all of a sudden. Sometimes my cameras, no matter how good these things are, and I'm using abundance of software here right now to make things run. I'm doing some testing at the same time. But nonetheless, give this guy the opportunity to do what he's doing. He's already made some changes that I think are going to help the American people. Have you noticed that everything that he's been talking about relates to doing something to help the American people? He talks about the American people. He talks about trying to get us back together, not about him, not about what he is going to do for himself or how he's pushing this agenda over here pertaining to having people further divide the country. So give him a chance. I'm just going to say that. Just give him a chance. It's just so messed up nowadays. If you really look at the way things are now and were, but I've just truly believe that things will get better. And it's not the fact of a Democratic or Republican thing. It's just the fact of, hey, this country, if you have not noticed, you are walking blind. There's no way that you were able to go through this country for the past 4 years and not see what was happening. And then it being allowed and being encouraged, and for the life of me, I was totally, there were so many other things I was turned off about, but I was totally shot down when I heard stand back and stand by. That right there was the icing on the cake for me, because there should never be a leader who's going to tell any white supremacist group to stand back and stand by. That should automatically be denounced, because that right there will tell them, look, I am about the country. I'm not about one particular group or whatever it is. We got to do better. And that's what needs to happen in this country. We need to do better. I see you, Rod Flash. I see you, Brandon. It's truly amazing to me, the number of things that I see. And that's why I brought this up. And as you see, it's 12:37 a.m. And I just wanted to hop on and talk about this for a quick second because it was on my heart. I got some other podcasts that are going to happen, maybe two, maybe three next week. But I just wanted it to be one of those things where I could really put this out and just get it off my chest so that I could be done. Of course, the insurrection is there, and I don't even want to go into details on that, because every news outlet in the world, if you even had on your news for 5 minutes, you got a mouthful and you got a eye full, and there's continuing to be more and more and more of this stuff. But the one thing that really in the insurrection that really perplexed me was this. When they bust into the Senate, and then they all got together and they started praying. But then after that, they went back to fighting and against the police and doing things that ultimately wound up with 5 deaths. And then you had some that were like saying that some people's heads needed to be on posts and all kinds of crap. What is Christian about that? What is Christian about that? Tell me. Those are the types of things that I just don't understand as it relates to religion in this country. especially Christianity. Christianity, just like I said in my podcast, God and Constitution, people will throw around two things automatically when they feel like they don't want to follow rules and simple protocols. And that is, they'll throw around God. It's my God given right. I'm a Christian. I'm this, I'm that. But then you don't act like it. I'm not saying you have to be a total Bible thumper or anything, but at the same time, if you're going to claim it, be about it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying about that. And then, of course, with the Constitution, you get the Constitution, and the first thing they start talking about, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, but they don't even know what they're reciting half the times. They really don't. It's because they hear it from someone else. It's just like I've always said this as well. Racism. Racism is not something that you are born with. It's something that is taught. So if it's taught, that means that could be clipped automatically. You know how it can be clipped? It can be clipped by not teaching your children to do the stuff that you are doing. If you have a problem with a particular person of a particular color, keep that to yourself. Don't put that into your seeds, because that will give them a chance to do better things in the world. But the minute that you start to put that poison into them, then the result is what we saw up at the Capitol. And that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So let's be good, people. Let's do something great, and let's give people the opportunity to just work with the new president, work with the new vice president, which is killing a lot of people. And if I start disappearing here, forgive me, I'm moving around and the camera is trying to focus or whatever, but I'm one of these that likes to move a little bit. I can't stay stationary. But you got so many who are just dead set against the fact of people of color being in positions of authority. Now, what makes our brain not as good as your brain? When actually, when you look at a lot of things that we use on a daily basis, a lot of things that are used around the country, a lot of things that were built in this country, it was actually built by people of color. If you really think about it, just think about that. If you really go and look back in the history books, you would see that. And I truly believe that for those same reasons, that's why a lot of history, as it relates to Black history and American history, was really taken out of the schools. So these are just opinions and a lot of facts at the same time. There's nothing alternative about any of this. You can go and look for this yourselves. But all I'm saying is we need to do better, and we need to give this president an opportunity. Give him a chance. Let's see what he does. Because I know as soon as $1,400 starts rolling in your pockets, in your bank accounts, all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, he did that. And then he rolled back a whole bunch of different things. Now, Trump had some tax cuts and stuff like that, sure. But a lot of those tax cuts were not for us. That's what you have to understand. Because if they were, small business, even with this pandemic, would have still been able to operate to a certain level. And I'll say that because there was something called, like the delivery of food. So they could have operated and still been able to serve their communities or serve their customers or whatever through serving without having people come into the buildings, into their brick and mortars. So you got to think about all these different things. And then there were so many that I was chatting on the back channels with who I wanted them to get on the podcast because I wanted them to explain to me how on January 20th, which they clearly stated to me that Trump was going to get another 4 years. And what was about to happen was going to blow my mind, which was going to make it so. So I said, okay. I said, if that, whatever it is, happens, I want you to come back on this podcast and we're going to talk. And all of a sudden there was an excuse for it. But that's fine and dandy. It is what it is. But I just want us to give Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris the same chance and respect that all the people who believed in Trump gave him, and work it out together. Let's do this together. Let's unite. Let's get this country going and flowing back and going together, because the United States is a country of immigrants anyway. And the only indigenous people, believe it or not, were the Indians and some African Americans, believe it or not. And I don't even want to say African Americans, are people of color. That's what you guys have to also look at too. Because not all black people were slaves. And that's another thing that you have to understand. See, if you go back and look in the history books, you'll find that stuff. If you go back and do your research, you'll find that. But that's not going to be taught to you. That's the kind of stuff that's not going to be taught to you. So when they talk about Christopher Columbus discovering America, he did not do that. When he came here, there were people already here, established. And what he found, he liked, so he had to figure out a way to take it. And that brought about this whole thing with Thanksgiving. Now, if you read up about Thanksgiving, you'll learn a little bit more about Thanksgiving as well. So it's just the same thing as we celebrate Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day was not a day of love. This country has made it that. The world has made it that. But it really wasn't a holiday of love. So, and if I'm wrong, I got some people in the chat. I got Mixmaster TLC in here. They can correct me. Rod Flash can correct me. Brandon can correct me. Lorenzo Jones is in here, my classmate. He could correct me. If I'm wrong, brothers, please let me know. But these are just some of the things that through research, if you sit back and you think about these things, you'll find these things out. So, fast forwarding to today, just give this man a chance. Give him a chance to do his job. Don't work against him. Work with him and see where we go. He has 4 years to do it, just like we gave Trump 4 years. When Trump won that election, a lot of people of color, what we had to do is we sucked it up, just like we did with any other deal. We sucked it up. I'm just going to be very, very honored with you. I'm going to be very honest with you. They just bit their bottom lip and said, you know what? It is what it is. But everyone else was shouting and screaming, yay, yay, Trump is a businessman and all this stuff. But then also I had to go back and say every business that this man had ever had, it went bankrupt. Or he tried to figure out a way to not pay the people. And he proved that when he said, and it was publicly noted, that because Rudy Giuliani did not win him what he wanted to win, he said he wasn't going to pay him. And Rudy Giuliani was charging him $20,000 a day or something like that. And he wasn't going to charge him. I'm going to say he wasn't going to pay him a dime because he didn't win. So come on now. And then the whole winning situation. So let's say you're playing a baseball game. You got two teams out there. You guys are playing. You guys are doing everything. You guys are just killing it. I mean, you're getting down to the last, and you're down to the eighth inning, and you got, each of you guys got 7 points. You know, and this next home run comes in, and next thing you know, Boom. Team A gets a home run and they got bases loaded. So now they got bases loaded. They get a home run. You got 4 runs that come in. Now, the other team, Team B can't go over there and say, no, this didn't happen. This didn't happen. No, they didn't do that. I won this baseball game. They're going to tell you to get your behind off the field and have a nice day. That's what they're going to tell you. So the same thing goes with everything else in this country. The people speak. And one of the things that we have to recognize is that, sure, 74 million votes. That's a lot of votes, people. That's a lot of votes. But 81 million is a whole lot more. And that's what we have to understand. That's what we have to understand. So don't play games. Don't try to deny the inevitable. Just work with what you got, go with the flow, and just chill out and let it all happen. Now, of course, now that the presidential election is over, we all know that it's time for the next set of elections to come in, and those are your locals. And I task and I charge each of you, everyone, whatever your political affiliation is, if you want your voice heard, register and vote. I'll say it again. Register and vote. And 2 years from now, be ready to do your civic duty. Because you can't say a word. If you didn't get out there and do it, you shouldn't be saying anything as it relates to politics or anything if you didn't take the time to go out and do your duty. I got some friends who say a lot of times, I didn't vote because my candidate wasn't there and blah, 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 blah. But let me explain something to you people. When you do not vote, you are automatically voting for the person that you didn't want to be in office. Keep that in mind. When you do not vote, you are automatically giving a vote to the individual that you don't want in office. And let me explain to you how, just in case you're sitting there going, huh? Let me show you how. If you don't vote, let's say theoretically the vote is 10, but your vote counts as one of those 10. Or let's say 11, because we have to have a tiebreaker. And your vote is one of those 11, but you don't vote, right? You don't vote. So now this individual gets 7 votes and the other, 11? What's that? 5 and 5. The one person gets 6 and the other person gets 5. Or 5 and 5, or 4 and 6, or however you want to put it. But because you didn't vote and others like you didn't vote, that automatically puts that person who you didn't want to vote, put them up instead of down. I hope I'm explaining this clearly, because I'm trying to keep this as small as possible instead of talking about numbers in the millions. But that your tick takes it up for the person that you want. When you don't have your tick, now that they don't have that, but this other person is sitting here still. Plain English. So keep that in mind. TLC says they've already started throwing shame on Kamala. You're 100% right. And the question I would ask is, why? Can you tell me why? And that is truly because she's of a person of color. Because then they'll also say this. They'll say, well, she voted to put all these people of color in jail. But the fact is that when you had the crime rate that you had, you pretty much have no other choice. Whether they're white, black, brown, yellow, blue, whatever. If someone is committing a crime, they have to go for the overall general public. She can't just say, I'm not going to put any black people in jail and just put everybody else in there. If they committed a criminal, if it's a criminal offense and it warrants going to jail, she has to be fair about that. But a lot of people don't look at that like that. They looked at it as she threw some people in jail. So my thing to you is this. Just please, let me see if I can balance my camera out. Please just give them a chance. Give them a chance. I hope I'm talking right here, but please give them a chance. And Mixmaster TLC said, stop the hate. People talk great games about unity until they are not the winner. Amen. Lorenzo says, teach, and it's the truth. And let's talk about unity for a minute. Now, hey, I'm sorry I have to do this, but this is fact. And you saw this roll out on TV as well. Now, you had everything before this insurrection was going on. I mean, it was like the Republicans weren't letting nothing go through. They were like, if it's Democratic led for any reason or any Democratic idea or whatever, it's not going down. But then, and they talked about overturning it. I mean, you had so many House representatives and senators who were talking about overturning the election and supporting Trump's values and all this stuff and everything. But when that insurrection happened and those people were coming in to get them and they got spooked, all of a sudden it was, we need to come together and unite. But you weren't talking about that before. And then Ted Cruz, this was so funny. After the insurrection, Ted Cruz went live on live TV and said that what this insurrection was crazy. The president should have stopped it. And I've disagreed with President Trump for the past 4 years. I was like, holy smokes. I said, does this man, just like several other Republicans, not know that they have all this tape of what they said before? It's out there. And it's been on news and it's been just checked over and over and over again. They'll play what they said before, then they'll play what they said after. And I'm like, wow, why would you put yourself in that position to be called out like that? You should never put yourself in that type of position. If you are doing something wrong, just own up to it. Be a man about it. I am wrong. I am wrong. I am wrong. This right here, when it comes to the democratic way of life in this country, democracy, that should never, ever try to be overthrown for any particular reason. If you don't like the guy, you don't like the guy. But you know what? You had your vote, and your vote was just not enough. Leave it at that. But when that guy gets in office, look at yourself. Look at something bigger than yourself, so that then you can start to work on being a better person, being better for your families, being better in your communities and your country. It perplexed me to see a lot of veterans who, of course, we have our political sides, no problem. But some of the things that I saw and read about when it came to veterans, I was also shocked. Because we as veterans, that's just not what we do or not supposed to do. I'll put it to you that way. So there's so much that I could sit here and continue to talk about, but I didn't want to talk too long. But all I want to say is give him a chance. Give him a chance. And if he screws up after that, hey, 4 years, chuck them. You know what I mean? That's what you do. But if they are doing the job, let them continue to do the job because they are there. I know one thing for sure. They are there for the people, all people. President Biden has made it very clear that he wants to be there whether you voted for him or not. This man is sincere. This man is, and he knows pain. This man has lost 3 close loved ones during his whole tenure in politics. That's rough. Some of us may have lost more. But you know what? Just to have to deal with that and still keep going with the business of the country on your shoulders, that's a lot. Think about that. Think about that. There's so much that we could sit here and we can talk about, but I just want you guys to know. And I want to ask you guys to give him a chance. Just give him a chance. Now this is kind of looking cool. I'm starting to look like a digital kind of guy. So this is kind of cool. So enough said on that. I will be back next week. But again, give him a chance. Just give him a chance. That's all you got to do. Give him a chance. And then from there, you can just say, you know what? He did his job and he got this going. The economy is starting to go back. You know, with interest rates as low as they are, all these other things are happening. These are the times to do what he needs to get done. You know, the whole situation with the impeachment, all of that. Give him the chance to get it all done, get it all out the way, and move forward. And these whole thing about this pandemic, we got to definitely handle that situation because nothing is going to really shift in big numbers until we get this thing knocked out. I know a lot of us are talking about the vaccines and all kinds of stuff like that, but we have to continue to do our research on that. Do your research on it. And if you feel uncomfortable with it, it is you. It is you. If you don't, move forward. Salute. Do whatever you got to do. But at the same time, don't discourage someone else who may have the opportunity and they are feeling that they want to do that just because of your personal beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know what it is. You're not the doctor of it. And me personally, with the way we have social media and different things, if people are really concerned about a lot of stuff like that, why don't you just send Bill Gates an email or send him an IG and say, you know what? This is what's going on. And if you are in the midst of something, go public. Because if you don't, I'm going to paste this all over the place. That's what you do. Make them speak up. Social media can really be a very valuable and a very powerful tool, as you've seen over the past 4 years, where it has been able to manipulate millions and millions of people. So, I think I've said enough. TLC says, you're not going to like every decision. You're 100% right. Israel, what's up, my man? That is 100% right. You're not going to like everything. You're just not going to like everything that anybody does. Shoot, you can get married and not like everything that your husband or wife does. But you married them. You engaged them. And now you're living with them. You're every day of your life with them. There's going to be things that you're just not going to like. But there's going to be a lot of things that you will like. Because what did you do? You gave it a chance. So, do that. Do that. Do that. I can't speak it any plainer. So, on that note, I hope you guys will do a couple more things, and that is, make sure you wear your masks. Especially if you're going into federal buildings and places now, you know you got to have them. So go ahead on and wear them. Wear them everywhere. Always have a mask with you. Don't be one of these that decides that you want to walk into an establishment without a mask, and your reason for not having a mask is because it's your God-given choice, and it's not law. But that's called being selfish, because when you don't wear a mask, the potential for you, if you are even asymptomatic, to infect someone else is great. So you got to keep that in mind as well. It's not about you when you're wearing a mask. It's about who's around you at that particular time. So wear your masks. Social distance. And make sure you wash your hands constantly. Every time you go outside and you touch something that's not inside your house, even when you do touch stuff inside your house, but especially when you're outside your home. When you're outside your home and you go somewhere, if you don't have plastic gloves or whatever, when you're touching something, make sure you definitely protect yourself. And the best thing to do is wash your hands when you get back to your crib. And even if you have those gloves, still wash your hands. Do what you got to do to save your lives and save the lives of others. That's what it's about. Let's do this together. We can do it together, because that one word that Joe Biden's been talking about for a long time, it's called unity. We can be a part of that. Let's do it. Who's down with me? Because I'm for it. Unity sounds good to me. Unity feels like a breath of fresh air. I don't know how many people have been able to watch the news and just see a breath of fresh air. And you know what? I'll say this. I know I keep saying I'm going to go, but I'm going to close out like this. Have you noticed, if you were a avid news watcher, or just an occasional news watcher, have you found yourself turning on the news looking for a whole bunch of mishaps and BS and trash, and only to find that it's no longer there? That is amazing. Keep that in mind as well. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and we will take it, and we will have a blast. Don't forget to follow me on IG at Real DJ Square Knot. Check out my podcast at podcast.squareknotlive.com. And of course, I'm on Facebook everywhere, /DJ Square Knot. And also, if you look up DJ Square Knot, you'll find me. I hope this has been something that you can listen to, and that you can think about. That's what I want to do, is I want to provoke some thought, and give you an opportunity to just say, you know what, let me step outside myself for a minute and just give this man a chance. He wants 100 days of wearing a mask. That's not long. Let's make it happen and see where we can go with this thing. This pandemic, we got to get it under control so that everything else can be better. You guys have a good night. I'm your man, DJ Square Knot, and I'm out. I just don't understand.